Welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlene Randall, and this is Charlene Randall Financial. So, today we're going to be talking about a homeowner who had her home taken and she knew nothing about the process that was happening behind her back. So we're going to get into that. If this is your first time watching, please make sure you click the subscribe button. And if you've been watching my videos, make sure you like, comment below so we can get the conversation going. And also, if you would like to basically uh, share and send anything to the channel, you could by using the link in the banner that you see because it helps me make more content and share more information with you. And your support is needed. So make sure you subscribe and thank you to everyone who has been watching the content, the videos that I'm sharing with you. So if you have ever been in a situation where someone did something behind your back, you probably know that this situation for this woman, was really hurtful. So let's get into the video that she did. She's talking um, about this situation. So let's watch the video so we can talk about it.
A phone call this August caught homeowner Trinita Rogers by surprise. The caller asking when she was moving out.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I bought your house in an upset bid."
This was news to Rogers. She had already paid off her Pitt County home of 12 years.
So I kind of thought it was a joke.
But she soon found out this was no trick.
For more than a decade, Rogers lived in her home in Pitt County without any disruption that suggested her ownership could be questioned. She had purchased the house roughly 12 years earlier and had paid it off in full. There was no mortgage company involved, no monthly loan statements, and no lender with a financial claim against the property. As far as she understood, the house belonged to her, outright, free of debt and free of dispute. She lived there continuously, maintained the property, and paid her property taxes, carrying on the ordinary responsibilities of a long-term homeowner. Her daily life followed a routine that reflected stability. The house was not an investment property or a rental. It was her permanent residence. There were no warning signs that a legal or financial problem was developing in the background. No one knocked on her door to raise concerns about ownership. No notices were delivered that clearly explained an immediate threat to her home. Nothing occurred that would have reasonably alerted her to the possibility that her property could be taken. At some point after she bought the home, the neighborhood became subject to a homeowners association. Rogers maintains that she did not understand that her property was part of an HOA or that membership required the payment of regular dues. She says she was unaware that the association had the authority to impose assessments or enforce them through legal means. In her view, there was no clear moment when she knowingly joined an HOA or acknowledged its rules and obligations. Because of that, Rogers did not believe she owed any HOA fees. She did not intentionally skip payments or decide to stop paying dues. She says she did not know the dues existed. Without that knowledge, there was no reason for her to anticipate penalties, liens, or legal action. She continued living in the home under the assumption that her ownership status was unchanged from the day she paid it off. The amount that eventually became central to the case totaled about $1,400 in unpaid HOA assessments. Rogers has said that if she had known about the debt, she would have paid it. The sum itself was not something she considered impossible to resolve. The issue, as she describes it, was not refusal or neglect, but lack of awareness that any obligation existed in the first place.
Well, why didn't you pay the $1,400? What's your response to that?
That's all I hear. And I say, I would have if I known.
Jail.
No one ever came to your door. No one ever called you. No one ever sent you an email saying you owed this much.
No.
Rogers believed that if there were a legitimate issue with her account, she would receive clear and unmistakable notice, explaining what was owed and what steps were required to address it. She did not expect that enforcement could escalate without direct communication that made the seriousness of the situation obvious. From her perspective, it would have been reasonable to assume that a homeowner facing foreclosure would be personally notified in a way that ensured they understood what was happening. Court records show that the Homeowners Association had previously placed liens on Rogers' property in 2013, and again in 2017. These liens were related to unpaid HOA dues. Rogers says she did not receive or recognize notice of those liens at the time they were filed. She maintains that she did not knowingly ignore them and was not aware that legal claims had been attached to her home.
So this is the situation. Basically, she says she was not notified about any payments that were outstanding or that were overdue. So she had ended up basically getting foreclosed on and for $1,400, and she already had paid off her home, and also, she's paying the other bills that's required of a homeowner, but she said she did not know. She did not even realize that she was part of a HOA. Now, I find some of this stuff a little hard to believe that they didn't send anything, but also hard to believe that she wouldn't have paid it. I'm sure she would have paid the amount had she known, to avoid losing the home. So this situation. I'm hearing a lot about these homes that are basically being foreclosed on for different reasons, and half the time the owner doesn't even know what's going on.
Those earlier liens did not immediately lead to foreclosure. Rogers continued living in the house as usual, without interruption. There were no eviction attempts, no forced entry, and no direct confrontations over the property. Life at the home remained unchanged, reinforcing her belief that there were no unresolved legal issues affecting ownership. Years later, the Homeowners Association moved beyond liens and initiated foreclosure proceedings. According to court documents, notices related to the foreclosure were mailed to Rogers. She acknowledges that letters arrived at her address, but says she believed they were legal advertisements. Based on that belief, she did not open them or read their contents. Rogers states that she was never personally served.
I really wish she would have opened those mail pieces from the HOA, because then she would have known, like, this she should have done that. I believe that part, was on her behalf to open. So that was on her to open. But again, I think she probably wouldn't have realized that that it was that serious. She probably just thought, like she said, it was advertisements. But anything that's legal or seems like it may be from a legal standpoint concerning your property, anything concerning your property, you want to open, because it could be the worst, like what's going on here.
With the foreclosure lawsuit papers. She says no one delivered documents directly to her, posted papers on her door, or otherwise ensured she received notice in a way that clearly communicated legal action was underway. She also says she never signed any documents acknowledging the debt, the foreclosure filing, or the sale of her home. Because she did not open the mailed notices and was not personally served.
The HOA never served her lawsuit papers. They just didn't do it. That is fatal. The thought that someone could just casually move forward and take someone's home over a $1,400 debt without turning over heaven and earth to make sure that they knew just seems wrong.
Rogers did not participate in the foreclosure process. She did not appear in court, file a response, or challenge the debt. From her perspective, nothing was happening that required her involvement, because she did not know a case was proceeding against her property. The foreclosure process continued without her participation. The Homeowners Association moved through the legal steps required to foreclose on the property under state law.
Okay, so this right here is a bit different, and just how the man said, the attorney, I also, find it wrong that they did not really reach out to her, serve her with the paperwork, because this lady lost, asset, her home, that she could have, that was, part of her legacy, and so to just lose it to foreclosure. But I think she has a part in this, and a lot of people I see don't have a part in theirs because everything is done behind their back, and they usually find out at the last minute when they barely have time to fight the issue, or they are basically seeing that someone is already even taken the deed and did like deed fraud, because a lot of places you could go in and submit a deed change, and they won't really look at it. So in certain places, it's simple to do that, but it also, for that to happen, it takes a person who is, calculating and just not, you know, doing anything by the book. They're wrong, and they know they're wrong, but they still want to, commit deed theft and, be sneaky. So that's why they do it that way. But this lady is a bit different. So, I just I feel bad for her in a way that she wasn't able to keep her property, and it was only for $1,400, and she had already paid the property off. But maybe there's some recourse or some help for her that she could possibly get. But I guess she's gonna keep fighting this with her attorney. So let me know what you think about this situation. Like I said, I know a lot of other people, they don't know anything, and people come to tell them. Even at times, there are homes where people are breaking in and coming in, with the key and saying they own it without you even knowing that a process took place. So this was a bit different. It's still, I guess hurtful to her, and a sad situation because she did lose her property. But I wish she would have opened the letter, or they would have served her, because they could possibly have to, serve her, and, maybe give her financial um, damages because of this. So, because they had a part to do too. And so, she has to get something back. It's not fair that she has her home taken and, have to deal with this. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you are not subscribed, so you can see all the videos I'm doing. And I want to show you the new cover of the magazine, AI plus tax and real estate insider. I want you to join the insider circle. Let me just move this so you can see the entire cover or some of the cover. Um, I'll be putting up the cover in the next video so you can see the entire cover. But if I move over so you guys can see it, I really like this cover. Um, so basically, as I said, this is for the magazine. Uh, this is for the magazine. So yes, I will show the whole cover in the next video. But comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And I will see you in the next video.